Testing one, two, two. Hey guys, Brent here, and welcome to Share Inspire Create Live 86. And sorry, my apologies. I sent an email out and it didn't go 90 minutes ago. And so I've just sent another one out 15 minutes ago, and hopefully we'll get a few people on here. So let me know if the audio is okay in the comments window. And I've got a screen to the side of me over here. Let's go back to my main camera here, where I fill the screen. There we go. So I've got another screen over here, and let me know in the comments if you can hear me okay. I'll write a comment here. Sorry, not much time to get everyone online. Okay. So I'll just write a comment there. Audio's good. Thank you, Roger. And let me know where you guys are from in the world. If you're joining me live, I'd love to know. And so we got Gina online from California in the USA. Kerry from Brisbane. Glad to see you live again. Brent, yes, I'm glad to be live too. And thank you, everyone who sent me feedback when I asked about the live sessions, because they do take quite a lot of energy and time and focus from me to put them together. But I have missed the last couple of months, and I do apologize. I had a few personal things happen in my life, which we all have happen, I suppose. And then I also had major allergies because everything's in bloom here in Australia. And but I still want to share what's been going on, and I want to create, and I want to help you guys create. So that's why I'm doing it. It's for you, but it's also for me, because I really do enjoy sharing what's going on. And I have been really busy the last couple of months with all sorts of things which I'm going to share soon. Okay, here we go. Yes, Rob from Perth. Hey Rob. Elizabeth, she's from Scone in New South Wales. Roger from South Carolina. Hey, Roger. Michael from Denver, Colorado. Sig. Hey, Sig from Canada. Gary from Chicago. Chile, Chicago. Well, yeah, I bet it's really cold there. And Gaetan. I'm not sure. I'm probably mispronouncing your name, from Quebec, Canada. And Danielle from Boca Raton in Florida, USA. Great. I'm glad you guys are joining me in such short notice. I do apologize again. I actually sent an email out almost 2 hours ago. I thought I did, and it didn't go out for some reason. So I just sent another one 15 minutes ago. So Jean-Claude has also joined us from Montreal, Quebec. So great. And I bet you it's cold there too. So audio looks good. I'm going to turn my phone off now, and I'm going to get right into it. So what we're doing today, I'm going to try to make this a little bit simpler on me. Before, what I did was I put together a presentation, a lot of energy into it, and then I try to display the presentation on my screen, and it's just really hard for my little laptop to keep going, and for me to check the comments and think about where I am in the display. So I'm trying to make it a little bit simpler for me, and hopefully for you, and I can share what's been going on and get everything across in the same way. So I've just got a folder on my desktop on my computer here that I just put images in throughout the month, or 2 months or 3 months, however long it takes. And I just want to share those with you, and then jump into edit 1 or 2. And remember, you can ask me comments. There's a bit of a delay, probably 4 minutes from if I see your comment to when I reply to your comment. So just be a little bit patient there. A few more people have joined us. Someone from New Zealand, Gwen, and Carol from California, and Judy from Canberra. Hey, so we've got people from all over the world. That's great. That is awesome. All right, so let me go and share my screen here. Let's see. Just so you know, when I'm looking to the side, I've got an extra screen over here, which I can look at comments, and I can kind of have more real estate, so I know what's happening here. All right, so I just want to get rid of this here. Okay, we don't need that. So I've got too many things on the screen. So you should be able to see my screen right now. Let's maximize this, and we can probably get rid of that. Okay, cool. So this is what I'm going to be talking about today. Yep, you can see my screen there. I might just clean up by date created, and there we go. All right, so things might be a little muddled up. Hopefully not too badly, and because I got a lot to share with you guys. So, and I'm checking the comments from time to time. So if you do have questions, ask them there. Make sure you got your favorite beverage. I'm drinking water. I've had my 2 coffees today. I had my surf, which is great. All right, so what's going to happen today? I'm going to share a few things with you guys, inspire you with a few images, hopefully, and then we're going to get into the create section where I'm going to edit that image of Emma, the model that I photographed for a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So I'll just pull up a few things here. So make sure you check out a few of my posty adventures. I've released 3 or so since we last spoke, since the last live session: 11, 12, and 13. I don't have 12's thumbnail here, but also 13. I just released that a couple of days ago, number 13. It's all about me creating my second surfboard I've ever shaped, and then my friend Timmy helping me create it, and it's quite entertaining. So check it out, Posty Adventures. There should be a link below this video, hopefully. And I've done a couple of trips up the coast, and I want to show you a few of my images I've taken, my dingoes. At one of my favorite camp spots, Mungo Brush, only about an hour and a half north of here. And I've been photographing these dingoes for quite a few months now, the babies, the pups. And they're growing up beautifully. And I just love photographing them. So I always take my long lens, my 600mm lens. And the day I photographed this shot, I got a little close to these dingoes and the parents weren't so happy with me, and they came out and were a little aggressive. So I walked backwards slowly, and I had a male dingo right in front of me and 2 other adults, 2 females kind of behind me. They kind of circled me. I was walking backwards into my campsite. And lucky nothing happened. I just made sure my camera with my long lens was in front of me. So I guess the lesson there is, even though you've been photographing this dingo pack for probably last 5 months since the pups were born, you never know. They're wild animals. You never know what could happen. So just be careful. Here are a couple of more shots of the dingoes. You can see how they're starting to grow up. That's just a beautiful one with the white paws, the socks. And this dingo's got like the darker face, like a German Shepherd almost. Which is kind of weird. So there's another one, same dingo. Can you guys see the images okay if I just do that? Do I need to make them full screen like this? Would that be better? Let me know in the comments section there. Let's just go escape on that one. Then the dingoes came out, and that's the mother. That's Lucy, the mother. I'll maybe make this full screen. And then I can zoom in a little bit, I suppose. So she's looking a little worn out. Poor Lucy. She's had quite a few sets of cubs. I've seen 3 now. 3 sets, or whatever you call them. And yeah, so she's looking a bit worn out and a little bit old, but those are the pups. Just loving her. And I photographed this one as the ray of sun was coming sideways, and this dingo pup stood in the light, and I just love this shot because of the light. Now you can't really see, but this little light bit at the top of the image above the dingo is actually a vehicle in the background. That's the vehicle number plate, I think. But because the dingo was standing in the light, I got a good shot and the background was dark. So you don't have to have perfect studio settings or perfect landscape settings. You can always just work with the light to get the shot that you want. I guess that's the lesson there. And then I love this image, this dingo pup looking at me. Will that go away? Oh, no. I'll just maybe zoom in over here and go a little larger on this. Yeah, there we go. I'll zoom in on this dingo pup. Just beautiful. There we go. What do you guys think of my dingo shots? Beautiful pics. Catherine says, Kerry, gorgeous. Roger, yes. Okay. Oh, better. Okay, so that's when I was going full screen. So that's a couple of my trips. I photographed the dingoes. And then I've had a couple of commercial photo shoots where I've been hired by local council, and I got a few of these koala images. There's a beautiful one of a sleeping koala. So what's happened in our area is we've got a koala sanctuary that's just opened, and this is where koalas go when they're sick or been injured. And they hired me to come and photograph the images for commercial reasons, for marketing, getting images out there to get people into this koala sanctuary. There we go. Let's see if that one comes up there. So I got really close, which is great, and I photographed these images. Then about a month later, I got hired by the department, I forget what they're called now. It's like the national parks over here, but they're constantly changing their names. It's the Department of Planning, Primary Industries and Environment, something like that, for the grand opening of this koala sanctuary. And here are a couple of images I shot for that, and I did a lot of video for that too. The Minister for the Environment came out, and they used that video and those images to, I guess, promote the grand opening of the Port Stephens Koala Sanctuary. So I really love this job because it's in line with my values. I love nature, wildlife. I love to see things restored and going back to nature. And it was quite an interesting opening. We got the smoking ceremony. This is when the Aboriginal elders in our area, they burn these leaves and you get the smoke. And I love the ceremony. And, you know, I'm an immigrant to Australia, grew up in Africa, but I really do enjoy the smoking ceremony. So what they do is they burn these green eucalypt leaves and you get the smoke, and then they go around, and what you do is you cleanse, you get the smoke to cleanse any bad thoughts, bad spirits, bad energy you're bringing to this meeting before you have the meeting. And I really enjoy the smoking ceremony. I think I want to incorporate that into, you know, my culture. I don't know what my culture is anymore because I've grown up in Africa, lived in the US for 7 years, and then Australia for the last 16 or so. So that's interesting. What is your culture? What things do you guys like about your culture? Or do you want to adopt things, ceremonies, traditions from other cultures? And what would they be? Leave me comments and let me know. That's one of the traditions from the Aboriginal culture here in Australia that I want to adopt, the smoking ceremony. And there's our local mayor and the Minister for the Environment. So that was the job I did, which is really interesting. And what else have I done? Yes, I've done another job which I can't really talk about. It's also for national parks. It's not, they haven't released it to the media yet, so I can't actually talk about that. Maybe I'll put that into my next live session. And that was really interesting. And then since then, I've had a couple of BootCamp challenges. So if you are not part of BootCamp, there's a link below here. Join us inside BootCamp, my awesome membership, where I create a challenge every month. Everyone goes on and photographs for this challenge, and then we create a magazine from that. So we've published a few magazines. Here's one from a month ago, our issue 31. This was all about looking up, the magazine, which is great. And we've just published another one a couple of days ago. And here it is, it's reflections. So that was last month's challenge, is all about reflections. So beautiful magazine, and congratulations to all the BootCamp members who've got their images in their magazine. Well done, guys. and girls. And yeah, it's just great. So the reflections challenge, I was going to edit this image. This was one of my images that I put into the bootcamp challenge. So I photographed this early in the morning with my 50mm lens, which I'm actually filming with right now, this one there. And I got down really close to the ground to photograph these bubbles that get washed in with the surf. So the waves come in and then they go out, and the turbulence creates these bubbles, but they only last for a couple of seconds and then they pop and they're gone. So I'm getting really close, focusing as close as I can, really low. And this is the reflection image I got for the last month's challenge, the reflections challenge. And there's some beautiful reflections images in there. Well done, everyone from bootcamp. And then while I was at Crescent Head photographing that, I photographed this too. So I was doing a surf check on this dirt road surrounded by a national park. They had a little bit of rain, so there's all these potholes in the road. And I was coming back and I noticed this dark thing across the road, right across the road, probably 6-7 feet long. This python, carpet python, I believe. My mother identified this for me, and it just wouldn't move. So I stopped my car, and then I realized that I had my long lens in the back. So I went around the back, grabbed my lens out, and got as close as I thought was safe to photograph this carpet python. Now, pythons aren't super aggressive, and they can't really kill you. They got no venom. They can strangle you, I suppose, if you're small enough. But just love this shot because I got in as close as I could with that 600mm lens, and he wasn't super happy with me. He was checking me out, and yeah, so I kept my distance a little bit. I know they can bite you, pythons. So let's have a quick look at the comments. Catherine says, have you gone to Fraser Island? Amazing takeaways of nature you'll get there. Yes, I have been to Fraser Island about 8 years ago, and it's time to go back. Yes, definitely time to go back. Lee Hill says he loves Lee. I don't know if it's a he or she. Loves the pics, and Kerry says loves bootcamp. Gives me something to challenge myself every month. Your water bubbles are one of my favorite shots for the month. Thanks, Kerry. And Kerry's inside bootcamp. She's quite an active member in there. So there's my python shot. Love that. Oh, and then this last trip, I went up to Byron Bay and I got these beautiful shots. I went surfing at this place, which is Byron Bay. The surf's great, but it gets really crowded. So I surfed for about half an hour, and then I came in and grabbed my long lens and went out and took some photos. And I took this one, I put it on Instagram, and the guy who's actually surfing there commented, is like, that's me. So that's what's great about social media, I suppose. You can get your images out there. There's one other image which is quite good. A longboarder is doing the hang 5 or hang 10 with his toes off the front of the board. And then I thought this one was funny. Yeah, this one here. This one was funny because I really like the smiley face on that girl's bikini bottom. You might have to zoom in. Don't want to zoom in too much, but it just shows how crowded it is. But there's a smiley face. Everyone's happy in Byron Bay, and that's great. That's a funny one. Cool. All right. What else have I done? Oh, yes. I've published a whole bunch of new blog posts. So all about shutter speed. So I've got using ND filters to affect shutter speed in photography. So to get to these, all you need to do is go to brentmailphotography.com and click on the blog section. I've got shutter speed for a scene with high contrast, and I've got the ultimate guide to shutter speed in photography. I don't think I got the thumbnail here, which is a huge article, but I cover everything that I think you should need to know about shutter speed. So check those out on my blog post. And what else can I share with you? that's oh yes. So we had some rain here too, a lot of rain. So I went and photographed some waterfalls. Here's one that I shot, and I like this image because it's different to all the other waterfall images I've got. Look at that actual waterfall in the background. See how I'm using a slow shutter speed to get the milky flow of the water. But have a look at the other lines. There's like a diagonal line going down the waterfall there. So there's two lines, the water falling down and the diagonal lines, which is actually the rays of sun coming through that forest and lighting up the mist from that waterfall. So I thought that was quite an unusual image. Notice how I also used a foreground element over here, the leaves, the wet leaves. And I used a wide angle lens and a closed down aperture so that I could get a very broad depth of field, so everything's in focus. So that was an interesting image. I actually I tried to record a lesson there. I may use it, may not use it. I had my son come and film me that day. And here's another image from that waterfall. Protesters, no, this is Jerusalem Falls in the Barrington Tops National Park. The only problem with this waterfall is you got to climb down into this valley, this gully, and it's slippery as hell down there walking around, and you're shooting right up north into the sun, so it's not the easiest to photograph. And what else can I show you guys? I've created a bunch of videos. This is one that I've just created for Earth Care Park for my wife Stacy works for Landcare. She's a Landcare coordinator, and this is one of the Landcare groups. So we've created this video for them. And then I met up with a model that I've photographed a few times over the last few years, and we did a beautiful photo shoot at Protesters Falls. So here's an image. We used the landscape to just play around and had such a great time. Yeah, that was great. That was awesome. Most of the images I can't show you because, they're more like these ones, like artistic shots. So I may show my BootCamp members sometime. All right, cool. And what else? Yes, I can't show that yet. And I've also done a photo shoot for national parks for this house, this hut that they've taken over, and they're having accommodation for it. So I went and photographed real estate and with models, family talent, to get the images out there for promoting this accommodation. So it was a lot of fun, actually. A big day, big couple of days. So these are my drone shots, aerial shots. And here's one that I photographed also from a drone, but I created a panorama out of this. So it's a stitched image of, I think, 4 shots. So I photographed duk, 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 and then stitched them all together to create one big image. All right, I'm going to check the comments now. Here we go. Yeah, guys, ask me any questions in the comments. Good morning from Lorianne from Rosebud, Australia. Oh, that's a nice name, Rosebud. That's a really cool name. And Danielle says she loves the close-up look of the dingo's face. Great. So, yeah, guys, ask me any questions. And then I'll get into the edit part soon, which is going to be all about Emma over here. I'm going to edit one of the images all about Emma. So let's get into the story behind this image, and I may pull up Lightroom. Let's see if it'll work. Lightroom. Normally my computer gets really slow now, so we'll see how it goes. So ask questions, guys, if you have anything or comments. I'd love to see your questions or comments down here. All right, so it's opening up Lightroom, and it's opening it up on the wrong screen, so I'm going to have to drag it across somehow onto the screen. And even though I did test it earlier, and it should have opened up on my main screen over here. Come on, baby. Open. Oh, yes. It's opening up on the right screen. Looks like it. Perfect. So you guys should be able to see it soon. So with what happened with Emma and this photo shoot is this month's bootcamp challenge is all about high key photography. And I love high key images. So high key images are images with a lot of white, a lot of brights, a lot of highlights in them. And they're really artistic and just beautiful. And they, you know, they uplift you. They just brighten your day, I suppose. So I've created this little garage studio with the white background and my old studio strobes that I've had for like a decade or longer. And I wanted to photograph Emma, who I've worked with before. We've done some video work before. And here are the images I photographed with her. So there's so many. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to put my I'm going to go through my flagged images just so we go through the best, or the kind of the ones that tell the story, I suppose. There we go. I'm just checking that we can see them all here. So can you guys see this okay? There we go. Awesome photos. Gwen says, thank you. And yeah, comment below. Can you see the Lightroom, my Lightroom images? I know there's a bit of a delay. Let me see what's happening on my phone here. Let's go to the end. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, it does look like we are seeing the images. Great. Okay, perfect. Yes, all good. Kerry says all good. Thank you, Kerry. Awesome. So let me show you the setup I used to photograph these images. And I have actually taught a lesson this inside my bootcamp, the masterclass, and I actually show you exactly what's happening. But here's just a behind the scenes photo of what I'm using. I'm using a softbox on the left here with the strobe, and the softbox diffuses the light so I can get this nice soft light on my model. And then behind my model, or next to her, you can see I've got a background light. So that strobe is lighting up the background behind her. I've got a fan over here to blow Emma's hair. And then I've also got this white reflector that I've got kind of balancing on the model's right. I'm going to go on from my point of view. So on her right is the reflector, and on her left is the diffuser with the the softbox, which is a diffuser, and the strobe. So I'm using two lights over here. So a simple two light setup, and I just got Emma to pose for me, play around. And I suppose the most important thing when you're photographing a model and you haven't worked before too much with each other, it's mainly to get the trust and the synergy happening between you and your model. And it's, look, I'm not a extrovert, I'm an introvert, so I'm a little bit shy initially when I meet with people. But once you get to know me, I'm very relaxed. But initially, it's always a little I wouldn't say difficult. It's uncomfortable initially when you meet someone. Until you photographed a little bit longer with them, you get this working relationship happening, and everyone's great and it's easy. But initially, it's not so easy when you're photographing a new model. So I just had her pose for me a few different ways. We tried the lighting. You can see when the light actually fired. So there the light fired there, and then the next shot the light didn't fire, the background light, background strobe. So you can see the difference. And there it didn't fire again. So she changed a few outfits, mainly whites. I told her to bring light colors or lights because I'm shooting high key photography. Tried a few props, which is fun. Managed to get all of my daughters sunglasses and a couple other props. And then I wanted to get a few close-ups, so go in a little closer and focus on her eyes. So I just wanted to check that her eyes are in focus here, fully in focus. We'll give Lightroom a little time to render that. Okay, never mind. Lightroom's taking forever. Okay, and then she got into some swimmers. She's a surfer, so she's very comfortable with wearing that. And then I wanted to get her a little closer and photographed with a different lens, my 50mm lens, which I'm filming with now. And here's the setup for these last few shots. These are the ones that I really liked. So I've got the background light on the model's left. I still got my main light on the left also. And then I've got the fan blowing up so we can get her hair moving. And these are the final shots we got. But when you're photographing with such a shallow depth of field, so let's have a look at some of these. We might pull up initially. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, so here I'm shooting at 160th of a second. The reason I'm shooting at 160th of a second and not 1/200th of a second is my camera will only sync it with these strobes at 160th of a second. If you go 1/200th, 1/250th, 1/300th of a second, you start getting this rear curtain sync, dark shading bit coming down the side of your image. And that's because the shutter can't actually open and close quick enough when the strobe goes off, so you kind of lose some of that light. So I'm shooting at as fast a shutter speed as I can, 160th of a second, and then I'm shooting at f4 on my 85 1.8 lens. So here I'm shooting f4 because I can probably get everything in focus, and we'll let that render a little bit. So I've got a broader depth of field at f4, but I wanted to get a shallow depth of field, so I was shooting at a much more open aperture. So let's have a look at this image. Oh no, it's still f4. So we'll run through them. Okay, so here I'm shooting at f2.2. So I'm starting to open up my aperture, which means I'm getting more light from the strobe. So what I need to do is I actually need to turn the strobes down a little bit because I'm letting in more light. I'll just check your the comments over here. Great. Rob says, great to hear that you struggle at first with photographing a new model, as I'm hesitant to try this type of photography due to the same issues. Yes. And I suppose a lot of us photographers are shy, introverted people, at least me. And I've always been a little shy when I'm first working with a model. That's why I like to work with the same models over and over again, because then we get comfortable with each other and then it's fine. It doesn't matter what they're wearing or what they're not wearing. Everyone's okay with each other, and that's what I love about working with the same model. Bob, he's from Winnipeg, Canada. Okay, yes, so there's always a replay, so it takes a little while for it to render on YouTube. So go and watch the whole thing again. If you missed this, and it's my fault that you probably missed this because I didn't send out the email in time. So there we go. All right, so let's back to this images of Emma. Okay, so you'll see this one before I'm shooting at f2.2. The next one I am shooting at f1.8. So I've got my, and this is my 85mm, okay, f1.8. So I've got a super shallow depth of field. Now the problem with that is it's hit and miss sometimes, what's in focus and what's not in focus. Unless you got the newer cameras where you can shoot in live view and it's got the eye autofocus detect and you can actually get everything in focus. I don't have that yet. I'm saving up for the Canon R5. So what happened here is the camera focused on her hair in front of her eye. So that's no good. That's like a throwaway image, even though it looks great in the thumbnail. So that's the problem with photographing very shallow depth of field. Some you get and some you don't. Let's have a look at this one. that I get her eye in focus. Now, when you're photographing models, the main point of interest is always the eye. So you want the eye in focus, or both eyes in focus, which can be difficult. So let's let this render here. I think this one's okay. Lightroom's just taking forever. Let's have a look at a few more. So 85, 1.8. I really like these shots with her looking down. And then I think this is the one we're going to edit today. And I'm just hoping that everything's in focus. Let's have a look. Did it focus on her eyebrow or on her eye? Or on her eyelashes? So you can see how shallow my depth of field is here at f1.8 on an 85mm lens. It's so shallow that her eyelashes are in focus, but her eye is slightly out of focus. Okay. Let's have a look and maybe we can find another one. But I do like that one because she's smiling. And this one I loved because here she's smiling with her eye. And I said this in my masterclass for high key photography for this month's bootcamp challenge and masterclass, is once you photograph models long enough, you recognize when people are smiling with their eyes. Now, to me, there, her eye is smiling. So what I do normally with models is I get them to think of a funny situation or a funny friend, and then look down and then look up at me. And you can see the smile in their eyes. So I think this one might be out of focus too. Yeah. Here her eyebrow is in focus, but her eyelash is not. So another throwaway image, but I do like that. Here's a black and white I did, and I wonder if this one's in focus. No, it's not in focus either. So you can see how many throwaway images I get when I'm trying to get that. There we go. So here's one where her eyelashes are in focus and her eyebrow is out of focus. So that's a good one. And she's smiling. So that's maybe one we edit, or maybe I'll just go back to the original one. And I hope I'm getting it across to you guys. When you're photographing with such a shallow depth of field, it is hit and miss whether you can actually get the shots. That's why I take so many images here. What I should have probably done is photographed at f4. But you know what? I want to challenge myself. I've got the shots. I've got a few keepers. Let's go and have fun. And you know what? I've been a pro photographer for, I don't know, 18 years or so. But every photo shoot, I learn something. Every single photo shoot I go on, I learn something new. Either something about my equipment, about my lenses, about my camera, about posing, about lighting. I always learn something. So that's why you need to go out and shoot all the time. That's how you learn. All right, this is a good one, I think. Yeah, it looks like her, you see again, her eyelashes are in focus, but her eye is actually slightly soft. All right. But it's good enough for Instagram and Facebook and all that, but it wouldn't be good enough to print for me. Okay, let's go back to my grid mode over here. Okay, and let's find, maybe we'll do that original image, because what I did in my masterclass is I actually show one of these images that I edited. I didn't show me editing it, but we just used one of those images. So let's go to this one over here now, because it's the thumbnail for this challenge. I better edit this one. Okay, Rob, Kerry, I'm glad that even the pros have to throw away shots too. Well, yeah, Kerry, I throw away a lot of shots. Rob, I really like the photo of Emma looking down with her eyelashes in focus. Okay, so good to hear that you're always learning, even though you're a professional photographer. Yes, always learning. And that's what I love about photography. If I wasn't learning, I would have got bored with it by now. Okay, so let's have a look here. Is this one? Okay. What do you guys think? Should I edit this image, or is there another one that you want me to work on? I'll give this a little while. I'll have a look at the comments over here, and we'll see if there's another image that we can edit. Let's look at this one here. Yeah, that one's quite nice, but I'm not seeing her eye. But it's still a nice shot. It would be nice to see her eye, right? And I do like that one because you can see, and she does have beautiful eyes. I mean, this one's nice too, and I think the eyes are in focus there. Don't know if that's in focus. Oh, that's a nice one too. Okay, I'll wait for the comments to come up here. And here you can see Emma's actually looking into the softbox there. Pull this up again. All right, so there we go. So she's actually looking into the softbox. So we're losing the dark parts of her eye there. So maybe not the best shot. Let's have a look at what else we got. And I'll look at the comments here. Let's see, and I'll just double check that everything's still online. Over here, let's go. Yep, seems to be. Okay, great. Okay, all good. So comment in the comment section, guys, and just let me know. Maybe I'll just go ahead and edit that original image that I wanted to edit here. So move this up. I did like this one too. There we go, but that's out of focus. No, I can't do that. All right. Oh, this one. Yeah, it's a nice one. But let's work on the eye. Okay. We're going to go. I'm going to make an executive decision. Yeah, we're going to edit this one because I haven't edited it yet. So this is all live. We'll see how this goes. I'm opening it up. I'm in the develop module in Lightroom, and I'll show you how I edit this. Come on, baby. Computer's struggling a little. Doing too many things at once. Okay, there we go. All right, so the first thing, I've done an edit on another image, and I synchronized it with all the images, so just so we could get the exposure right. So this is what you're seeing right here. So what I might do is click the auto button here, and let's see what that does. Whoa, okay, not great. So it's made it way too dark, and that's Lightroom trying to even out the exposure in my image. So I'm just going to hit the Control Z, Aussie, if you want to speak Aussie button, and we'll run through this. Okay, so what I've done is I've increased the highlights by 1/3 of a stop. Increased the exposure, reduced the highlights a little bit, and increased the shadows and the whites, and I left the blacks where they need to be. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to crop this image. All right. So are we going to use the rule of thirds here or not? Maybe. So we might go something like this, and I'll get the rule of thirds, that third over there right on her eye. There we go. All right, let's try that. We'll go with the rule of thirds, yes, on her eye. And now that helps the viewer know what to look at, the eye. It's not right in the middle. Her mouth is kind of in the middle, but her eye is in the 1/3 over there. All right, let's have a look at what else we can do here. So what I've done here is I've actually reduced the saturation and the vibrancy a little bit. I'll just show you what happens if I put that back to normal. So normal, her skin, because she spends quite a lot of time surfing, it's quite tanned, and I didn't want that as tan. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go to the before shot to show you what this image looked like before I've actually done anything to it. So there's a before image. I'm just having a look at it on both screens here. See how tanned Emma is? Now, because this is a high key image I wanted to create, so I've actually increased the exposure, increased the shadows and the whites a little bit, and I've reduced the saturation and the vibrancy. So I'm not quite black and white, but I'm not quite color. It's a little bit of color, but it's reduced saturation. Okay, so Lorianne asks, when the eye is soft, are you able to correct that in Lightroom? Well, let's have a look. Let's see if we can. If it's out of focus and blurry, there's not much you can do. There's some stuff you can do, but let's have a look. So that's my next step. I'm going to go into eye here. And let's see what we can do here. So one thing we can do is we can increase the clarity. So I'll just let that load up first before I actually do anything to it. And that may make it a little clearer. So I'm going to crank up the clarity there, and let's see what that does. Yep. But it's cranked up the clarity for the whole image. So I'm going to go back to 0 on the clarity. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Radial Filter, and we're going to just work on her eye. So I'm dragging it. There we go. So there's the Radial Filter. We'll put that over her eye. Okay, maybe it's a little big. There we go. And okay. Now if I hit the O button, it should give me the overlay. Okay, so that's where it's going to work on the pink bit there. Okay, you could use the brush tool. So someone asked that, would you try using the brush tool and paint clarity and a bit of dehaze in there? Yes. So, but what I'm going to make it simple, I'm just going to use the Radial Filter for now. But you can do this in the brush tool too. Okay, the overlay is just showing up even though I don't want it to. All right. There we go. Okay, so what I can do here is I can crank up the clarity, and sometimes the dehaze too. Yes, the dehaze. I've actually gone, I think you got to go backwards on the dehaze. Let's have a look. No. Up on the dehaze. No. Backwards. So you reduce. No, that's too dark. Yeah. No. Dehaze will go back to normal. So I crank up the clarity as much as I think I need. And then I'm also going to crank up the sharpness on that area. And Lightroom's struggling a little bit here. There we go. So there we go. I'm going to crank up the clarity all the way, and let's just see what that does. That might be too much. Yeah, too much. Okay, we'll go back to about 30 something on the clarity. Yep. Okay. So I think that's probably the best we can get with that. I may go and just lighten up the exposure here, and maybe even just give it a little more contrast. Let's see what that does. Yep. Okay. I think that's the best we're going to do with her eye. So it's not looking too bad. I mean, those eyelashes are perfectly in focus. I want to check something else too. If I go down to detail over here, and I want to have a look at the sharpening bit. So if you hold down the Option or Alt key and you click on the mask bit of this, it should show you where the masking is taking effect. Now, the black bits in this image is where the mask is masking out the sharpening. So the sharpening is not happening. The sharpening is happening in the white areas. So if I actually go back on the mask, you'll see her whole face will probably be white. There we go. So I don't want to actually sharpen her skin and the pores on her skin. So I go all the way to the right here, and I just want to sharpen the high contrast areas. There we go. I'll go back a little bit here on that. Let's have a look. Yep, there we go. I'm going to crank the sharpening up even more. And because I photographed at 100 ISO, there shouldn't be any noise, but I'll always add a little bit of noise reduction and a little bit of color noise reduction there. So luminance noise reduction and a little bit of color noise reduction. All right. So quite an easy edit. If you shoot it reasonably good in the studio, you shouldn't have to do too much editing on this image. I'll close this down. We will go back to viewing this as a full screen image. And that's about it, I think, for editing this image. I think we've done the best we can with our eye. Now, the big lesson here is, whoops, looks like Lightroom just crashed on me. Never mind. All right, maybe that's time to end this live presentation. Maybe that's the cue I've been looking for. Okay, guys, ask me any questions. Lightroom just crashed on me, but hopefully I got the lesson across there about photographing and making sure that the point of interest is in perfect focus when you photograph, and then you can do the rest in Lightroom. So let's go back to my main camera over here. And have you guys got any questions from me? Anything you want to know, let me know. I'm going to look at the comments over here. Yes, so great. Rob, that was great. Thanks, Brent. Okay, thanks, Rob. Thanks for watching, even though Lightroom crashed on me. Happens. I screwed up a bunch of times today and not sending that email in time. And yes, so I do apologize, guys. Next time I have a live session, I'll probably give you guys a day's notice, or at least 12 hours notice, and then I'll go live. But I'll also remind you an hour before, or half an hour before, so you can jump on. So that's it. I'll just pull up my images here that I had before. Where are they? Desktop stuff. There we go. Like live. Oh, there we go. Okay. Any questions or comments on the images I showed you today? Anything you guys want to learn? So Kerry asks, when utilizing a model, is the eye always the focus no matter the content? Well, no, the eye isn't always the focus. Depends on the story you want to tell. But most times, probably 90% of the time, when you're photographing people and their eye is visible, you want the eye to be in focus. Sometimes, I don't know, you may be telling a different story. Maybe it's the clothing that you're photographing. Maybe it's their physique that you want to highlight, parts of their physique. I'm just trying to think of other occasions where the eye wouldn't be, but I'd say 90% of the time the eye is the part, and that is why these new cameras, they've got the eye detect autofocus working, because that's what you want. All right. Judy says, thank you for your time. Lorraine says, thanks, Brent. And Catherine says, thank you. Enjoy. Good night from Bermuda. Oh, great. All right, guys, that's it. So if you're not part of BootCamp, make sure you click the link below, join the waiting list, and I'll let you know when there's a spot to get in. And any other comments or questions, just leave comments after this live session. I often jump into YouTube and I do reply to comments as long as they're respectful. And Lorraine says, thanks, Brent. Enjoyable presentation. Thanks, guys. I'll see you inside BootCamp. And Gwen says, thank you. Great to have shown me not to be afraid and try things out. Yes, don't be afraid. I think what I've learned in life is all the really good stuff happens outside your comfort zone. So you got to be a little bit afraid. When you're a little bit afraid of doing something, it means you should do it. Because you're going to grow. You're going to grow as a person because you're actually facing these things that scare you, the fear. And this live thing, what I'm doing right now, scared the hell out of me until I did it a couple of times. And now I actually enjoy sharing things. But you know what? I wish there was a way that I could hear you guys and you could talk to me, because I'm much better as a conversationalist, talking and hearing and talking. than just going one way. I do like the comments, but I just can't hear the tone of voice in the comments. So great. So there it is, guys. Thank you very much for being on the show. I'm going to do one, maybe not every month, maybe just when I've got some stories to tell. Yeah, hopefully you like them. Thanks and have an amazing day. Bye.